You've only ever seen me on the defense. Play with my family, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm on the offense. You won't have to feel antsy about being threatened, because this is your one and only warning. So you ain't gotta be scared of me. You just need to be on your best behavior. This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Poetic Justice, bonus episode 4, part 2. When we left off, Stephanie had gotten her Uncle Manny together about how he was handling her Aunt Marisol. She was so disgusted with his behavior that she didn't even want him to walk her down the aisle anymore. As a matter of fact, she didn't want him at her wedding at all. In Denver, True and Bosh had shared tidbits of their lives. And when he became emotional, sharing the story about how he lost the love of his life and his unborn child, True was there to comfort him. Their personalities won out though, so that tender moment turned into some light flirting. And while the newlyweds were consummating their new marriage, and Angela was preparing the main house for karaoke night, for Stephanie, CT, and baby Kari's farewell, the rest of the family were tying up some loose ends. Porsha was out of the hospital and back at the inpatient treatment facility. Donovan and Maribel had stopped by to visit her. Donovan had gone in first and admonished Porsha to be on her best behavior. And when Maribel walked in, Porsha had a smirk on her face. She said, "Yeah, so a little birdie told me that you're not too happy that I'm still alive. As a matter of fact, you were a little perturbed to discover that I'm still with child. I'm sorry to have inconvenienced you. I want to hate you. If I had it my way, I'd make you my mortal enemy. But from what I've heard, your little heroics on the tarmac are the only reason that me and my baby are still alive. So thank you." Maribel said, "You're welcome. I should have let you bleed to death. I should have stood on your bullet wound. I should have snatched the gun out of Rennie's hand and finished you myself. But apparently I'm a good person. Well, let me make something clear to you. I'm not that good of a person. You propositioned my husband and he turned you down. If he wanted you, I'd have let you have him. But he chose. Before I came here, my baby begged me to play nice. The problem is you tried to kill me. And I know chicks like you. No matter what you say, I know damn well you're not giving up that easy. Well, I'm here to let you know that neither am I. I plan to help my husband raise your baby. And if you play your cards right, you'll get to live to raise your baby too. You've already crossed me, so I can't say if you cross me. So what I'll say instead is get the help you need, Porsha. Do the work to be the kind of mother that your child deserves. Live, Porsha. Make the kind of choices so it make me choosing to let you live easy. Because if you make it hard for me, it'll be real easy for me to help my husband mourn you again." Porsha said, "I know you don't think I'm scared of you. And I'm not scared to die. If that nosy behind Ken wasn't sniffing around my room, I'd already be gone. The way I see it, you should be dead too. Had I waited until you rinsed all that damn soap off you in that hospital shower, you wouldn't have been so damn slippery. Because I had you dead to rights." Maribel said, "You want a do-over? You want to try me again? Because Jeff was a grown man and I whooped his whole and entire behind. You ain't got to be scared of me. Because I come with an army behind me. And if it even look like I'm in danger, it's over for you." Porsha said, "Oh, I know. That lady, Miss Baptiste, Miss St. James, whatever her name is, she love you down bad. Tell me something. Did you throw that fight with her? Or is she really as tough as she seems? Because I heard that she beat the brakes off you and sent you running home to mommy." Maribel said, "All you need to know is you better not take her kindness for weakness. She saved your life. She got you in this facility. Why on earth she wants the best for you, I don't know. But she does. Don't make her regret it. Because if she does, so will you." Porsha said, "I don't really like being threatened. It makes me kind of antsy. I have a habit of calling people's bluffs." Maribel said, "You've only ever seen me on the defense. Play with my family, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm on the offense. You won't have to feel antsy about being threatened. Because this is your one and only warning. You think Jeff had connections? My connections are long. Cross me, Porsha, and you'll find yourself becoming really acquainted with bush medicine. The wonderful thing about the Earth's vegetation is that it produces naturally occurring foliage that can be a gift when you need it and a curse when you don't. Now, I vowed to first do no harm, but for my husband, our children, our family, I'll set that vow aside, just like I did when Donovan was missing. How do you think we got Jeff to give up your location? I'm a cold piece of work with a scalpel in my hand. I was only a few slices away from turning Jeff into Jennifer, if you know what I mean. And Porsha shuddered. So you ain't gotta be scared of me. You just need to be on your best behavior. Meanwhile, over at the main house at the family complex in Denton, Angela's assembled a small team to help prepare for karaoke night. Instead of hiring caterers and decorators, the family's been slaving in the kitchen, making all of Stephanie, Corey's, and baby Kari's favorite dishes. And Angela's enlisted some help getting the entire place decorated. Everybody's there. Mom Brenda, Miss Bernie's girlfriend, and Angela's COO, Liza. Anya, Salima, Renni, and Angela's customer service manager, Natalia. Brenda asked if Natalia was staying for the festivities. Natalia said, no, I don't want to impose. I just agreed to help boss lady get everything set up because she looked like she about ready to pop, and I know it's too early for that. Angela said, what? I thought you said you was going to stay. Natalia said, well, I really don't want to impose. I figured you were just offering to be kind since I agreed to help you. Angela said, I would not have extended an invitation that I did not mean. I don't expose everyone to my family, and I don't expose my family to everyone. You came highly recommended, obviously, by my uncle. And you do a great job for Vibrantly You. But other than that, I like you as a person. I like how you carry yourself, how you move. And I have to be transparent with you and say that when I asked you to show my cousin-in-law around Vibrantly You, I was hoping that the two of you would hit it off. Natalia said, you was playing matchmaker? Angela said, yes and no. I try not to play matchmaker because I don't want to be responsible for how nothing turns out. I ain't taking care of no babies. I can't help nobody get rid of no STDs. And if somebody start throwing blows, I'm on whoever side is right. Male or female, I don't care. Since I'd rather not have to open up a can of whoop behind on you or on Sincere, I decided to make the introductions and let the chips fall where they may. But after the conversation that you and I had the other day, I had that conversation with Sincere. And while I can't vouch for anybody but myself, I feel confident in saying that he's serious. He's not just looking for a good time. And he's not just a member of this family. He's a member of this family. Natalia's father was a general in the Lopez family, so she knew exactly what Angela meant. And while she wasn't in that life and she didn't keep up with all the goings on in the underworld, being a daughter of a general meant that she needed to know who the players were. And Sincere was not on her radar, but she knew not to ask too many questions. Anything she needed to know would come out eventually. Whether Angela was vouching for him or not, he wouldn't even be in her atmosphere if he wasn't on the up and up. That did not mean that he was looking for something serious or that he even knew how to treat a woman for real. And since she did not have the patience or the time for games, she didn't want to end up in a situation where things went bad between her and her boss's family member. And her boss was left looking at her sideways. So she said, Miss Angela, I don't think that's a good idea. Angela said, well, at least you're not calling me Mrs. St. James anymore. But please, it's Angela or Angie. I know I got some years on you, but I am not old enough to be your mother. You can drop the miss. Natalia said, I pride myself in being the consummate professional. That means not getting too personal with my boss and my coworkers. Angela said, I understand and I can respect that. And if you don't want to stay, that's fine. I'm a firm believer that love always wins in the end and God doesn't need any help. So what's meant to be will be, without any interference from me. Salima said, oh, you a rapper now? Angela said, no, I'm just saying. At that moment, Catherine walked in carrying several platters of food. She looked at Angela and Angela gave her the smile with a nod, indicating that Natalia was the very woman that they discussed. Catherine rushed to put her pants down and came over to make nice with Natalia. Catherine said, so I understand that you met my stepson. Natalia just looked at Angela. Then she said, yes, ma'am, I did. Catherine said, I'm sure that the pleasure was all his. Let me guess. He came in like a bull in a china shop. Natalia said, that's one way to put it. Catherine said, look, I'm not going to pull any punches here. You're a beautiful girl. If you're a manager at my niece's business, then you're probably a smart girl too. I can tell by looking at you that you've probably kissed a lot of frogs. And if Angela thought that you were someone that he should meet, then it's probably in his best interest to court you. But he's on a tight window. He needs a wife. Angela and Salima both almost choked. Catherine said, what? Angela said, subtlety is not your strong suit, is it? Catherine said, usually it is. I let these things play out however they will, but I gave you a job and you're clearly not doing it. He has about a week and a half left to his break, and I've asked him to at least make the acquaintance of a woman who's the caliber required to share the throne with him. Would you be gracious enough to do me the honor? Natalia said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but please don't ask me to go on a date with your son. Catherine said, oh no, I would never do that. He needs to get you to agree to that on his own. I was going to ask if you would be so kind as to lend him your ear. Let him shoot his shot. And if he's talking right, you set the terms. You set the tone. Draw your line in the sand and make him walk it. What they say? Make him walk it like he talk it. If you're not interested, so be it. If you're unavailable, I understand. If he fails to demonstrate that he can meet whatever standards that you set for yourself, no need to even fill me or Angela in. Tell him to kick rocks. But I do want to forewarn you that he's a lot like his father. My late husband was a very determined man, and he never had a problem with accepting the word no. But he knew how to make it real hard for a woman to turn him down. Natalia said, I'm sorry for your loss. If I'm following, your husband was his father, correct? Catherine said, yes, the late Nigel Adonis St. James. And Natalia froze. While she didn't know the deceased kingpin personally, his reputation certainly preceded him, and she'd heard his name a time or two in her family home. Natalia said, it's possible that you may know my father, Nate Jimenez? And Catherine guffawed. She said, little naughty. Natalia said, no one's called me that in a very long time, Miss Catherine. Catherine looked at Angela and said, of all the women in the world that you could have selected as a possible candidate for the wife of Sincere, you chose the daughter of one of Manny's oldest generals. Angela said, I had no idea that there was a connection. I knew that she was connected, but Catherine said, oh, you did good. She looked back at Natalia and said, sweetheart, your father is one of the few men in the world who could tell me the sky was orange and I'd believe him. He's a man I trust with my life, and he can trust me with yours. I don't plan to tell Sincere who your father is, and I suggest that you keep that to yourself as well. I will make it clear to him, though, that you're connected, and even if you weren't, he'd still treat you with the respect that you deserve. But you need to see that for yourself. In the same vein, there are things that I won't tell you about his life, because those are things that you need to learn for yourself. But I would be truly honored to be able to call you my daughter-in-law, sight unseen, solely based on the fact that I know who raised you. Natalia said, Miss Catherine, I don't even know Sincere, and thus far his approach has left a bad taste in my mouth. He seems to be under the impression that he's the prize, and I should be tripping and falling over myself flattered because he showed me some attention, and I'm not the one for that. A man who's interested in me needs to come correctly. I'm not starving for attention or affection. I grew up with a father who loved me, and I am still his baby girl. And even at this big age, a man don't have a chance with me if he can't get my father's approval. Catherine said, and I can respect that. You gotta understand that he's used to getting what he wants. Natalia said, and therein lies the problem. Getting me is not gonna be easy. I don't play hard to get, but that does not make me easy to find. You were right when you said that I've kissed my fair share of proverbial frogs, and in exchange, I've gotten my fair share of proverbial warts. The next one I kiss needs to be the prince, because I'm all frogged out, and I don't know that I want to date your stepson if all I would be is the fulfillment of some requirement that he needs to meet to be in the life. He'd have to come to the table with a whole lot more than sorry, silly pickup lines and weak attempts to pique my interest. If the goal is to get me to willingly walk in my mother's shoes, I will never forget the nights that I saw my mother pacing the hallways of her home, praying heaven down for my father, on her knees in her war room, praying blessings over his life, questioning him about lipstick stains on the collars of his white shirts, holding him to task about where he'd been spending his time. My father always professed that it was business and not personal, and when it was just me and him, he used to drop some nuggets. One of his favorite ones was this: Lil Naughty, when you find the right man, you won't have to let him lead you, because he'll do that all by himself. You know the difference between the right man and the wrong man, because the right man will naturally lead, and the wrong man will try to drag you. Let the right man lead. Don't let the wrong man drag you. He didn't just drop those little jewels. He actually showed me how to identify the right man and the wrong man. Unfortunately, I spent more time being on the lookout for the wrong man. That's what I ended up attracting, when what I needed to do was focus my attention on attracting the right man. For the past several years, that's where my attention has been. As a result, the wrong men have been pretty well repelled. Now, I don't really know what your son is about, but he'd have to convince me that he's ready to lead and not drag. And I don't know if he can do that in a week and a half. It was nice seeing you again, Miss Catherine. Then she turned to Angela and said, if we're done here, I think I'll go ahead and head out now. When Natalia walked away, all of the women were speechless. Catherine said, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. I guess she told me. Then she looked at Angela and said, I told you to introduce that boy to a woman like you, not a woman like me. Angela said, I did. Natalia is my spirit animal, honey. She is exactly who I would have been if trauma, a broken home, and my father's early death didn't leave me scarred and terrified. And all of the women gathered, bust out laughing. Catherine said, that girl don't have a soft bone in her body. You are the sweetest thing. I don't know how you see you in her. Angela said, oh, she got soft in her. She'll be soft as soon as Sincere shows her that she's safe with him. Thus far, all he's shown her is that the women he's used to have no standards. And he don't have a clue what to do with a woman who does. I knew that she was the daughter of a general, but I didn't know she was the daughter of Nate Jimenez. I never made the connection. But now it makes perfect sense. Sincere better come correct or not come at all. Meanwhile, when Natalia got to her car that was parked outside the main house, she heard a man say, excuse me. When she turned around, there was Sincere. He hadn't heard a word of the exchange that the ladies had inside the main house, but he'd had a conversation with Angela. After Natalia shared her past experiences with Angela, Angela had agreed to have a conversation with Sincere. And when she did, she made it clear to him in no uncertain terms that if his interest was playing games, if he saw Natalia as a big button of smile, if he was looking for somebody to warm his bed when he was in Texas, or if he was just looking for a trophy to fulfill his obligation as kingpin, then Natalia needed to be a hard pass. Not only was Natalia loved by a father who would have his head and wouldn't give a darn about him being the head of the St. James family, but Manny loved Natalia like a niece. While Angela didn't break all of that down, she did tell Sincere. Natalia's connected Sincere. She also has a close personal relationship with my aunt and uncle. Don't push up on her if you're trying to play games. She's had her fair share of that. She also knows what it is to be treated well by a man. So if all your past experience has been you taking a broad out for a happy meal and taking her back to your place, that's not going to fly with Natalia. You can't call up to my place of business with the intention of augmenting her no when you ask for her phone number and think that that's going to somehow win brownie points with her. She is not flattered. Actually, she's offended. She takes her job very seriously. And I did not introduce you to her so that you could waste her time and play games. Tell me something. What's the longest committed relationship you've ever been in? Sincere said, I had the same girlfriend, 11th grade and 12th. We broke up when I went to college, though. I wanted to see other people. Angela said, and since college, you haven't had a steady girlfriend. Sincere said, nah, I've been busy. I remained in contact with old girl in Miami, and I made a friend since I've been in New York. But I've been too busy to take anybody seriously. I'm 25 years old. I know you ain't expect for me to have like a 20-year relationship. That wouldn't make sense. Angela said, no, but I would expect that somewhere between college and now, you would have at least had a year relationship. Or Sincere said, but it wasn't for lack of trying, Angela. I had to keep up with 3 sisters, try and keep my mother out of trouble, learn everything that I could about the business without knowing everything about the business. I was a little busy. I only been out of college a couple of years, you know. Angela said, so you do want something serious. Sincere said, more than I'd care to admit. I'm just scared I'm going to end up with a woman like my mother. She was my only female influence until I met Catherine. Angela asked, well, if you could build your ideal woman, what would she be like? Sincere said, she'd be smart. She'd be beautiful. She'd have a bomb body like Natalia. She'd be no nonsense, take no prisoners like Catherine. She'd be loving and doting like my Aunt Bella. She'd be freaky as hell like my cousin Selima. Angela said, all right, okay. Sincere said, nah, like she'd be well-rounded, the full picture. She'd be familiar with this life, so I wouldn't have to explain too much or hide too much from her. She'd have her own life, but I wouldn't have to compete with it. You know what I mean? Angela said she'd know how to focus on her work and the things that bring her joy. But when you're home and you're around, you'd be her main focus. Sincere said, yeah, like how you are with Q. Angela said, oh, thank you. Now, what if I told you that Natalia could very well be all of that and more? But you got to come correct. You got to be respectful. You need to treat her the way that you would want somebody to treat your sisters, the way you want somebody to treat your future daughters. You got to show up as yourself, but as the best version of yourself. Guard down, open, and ready for whatever this new connection is going to bring you. No fear. No holding back. Sincere said, how the hell you do that? She worried about getting played. I'm worried about getting played too. Angela said, but that's not yours to control. In the same way she needs to learn that, you need to know that. Give people a chance to show you who they are. And if they're pretending, it'll come out. And yes, sometimes you might get hurt. But if you show up true and authentic, God will protect what you can't. He will never compromise you. But that doesn't mean that other people won't try to. Trust him to help you choose. The Bible says the man who finds a wife finds a good thing and favor with the Lord. Sincere said, you always quoting Bible verses? Angela said, yeah. Sincere said, I like that. So how am I supposed to push up on old girl? Really, I can't do it at Vibrantly You. Then Angela told him that she was planning the karaoke night at the main house. And she told him that he should arrive about 30 minutes before it was scheduled to start. Because she had a feeling that Natalia would be there to help set up, but she wouldn't agree to stay. And he'd taken her advice. So when he walked up on Natalia, he said, I was hoping that I would run into you somewhere other than your job. It's obvious that you take your job very seriously, and I apologize for pushing up on you in your workplace. Are you in a hurry? Can I have a few moments of your time? Natalia said, I accept your apology. Sure. Sincere said, look, I'm only going to be in town for like a week and a half. I'll be back, of course, but I have some work that I need to do, and I can't guarantee when I'll be back. But I would really love the opportunity to take you out on a date, get to know you better. I can make myself available at whatever time works for you. We can do breakfast, lunch, dinner. We can do coffee in the morning, ice cream at night. Whatever works. Natalia said, meet me outside the Dalai Lama tomorrow at 1. It's on Howell Street. Don't be late.